Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial C programming concepts for a complete beginner. Uh, this tutorial will be having concepts that you will need in order to start programming in any programming language. I have assumed that you don't have any knowledge about programming. That's why in these lessons I'll be trying to give you information in details. C programming concepts for a complete beginner is going to be presented to you by Asra Milton. That's my name. And Asra Milton has an education background in computer science and computer engineering. The contents that you are going to meet will be divided into two parts. That's part 1 and part 2. So for part 1, we shall cover introduction to programming, requirements of programming, programming languages, applications of programming in the real world, structure of a C program, the first C program. Then for part 2, we shall cover data, types of data, variables and constants, conditional statements, loops, functions, arrays, and lastly, pointers. So, introduction to programming. What is programming? Programming is the process of creating programs which tell the computer what to do. So, the computer can mean the software, for example, browser, compiler, and the hardware, for example, microcontroller. So, I'm going to be teaching you the necessary knowledge, the basic concepts, and the skills that you will need to program in any programming language. So let's get started. Not forgetting, I'm going to define what a program is, what software is, browser, and a compiler. All these terminologies will be explained in the later lessons. So some terminologies: a program is a sequence of instructions telling the computer what to do. For example, I've shown you a sequence of instructions. So these are the instructions that are written line by line, and the execution of the program also occurs line by line from top to the bottom. We shall understand what these lines of code mean later. So what is an instruction? It is a single line or sentence in a program which ends with a semicolon. There is a note to tell the word instruction and statement are used interchangeably, but both mean the same thing. So you will meet some books using instruction and other books using statement, but they will both mean the same thing. Also, the word program and code mean the same thing. So still, if you read textbooks, you'll find that program is used in one textbook and then code is used in another textbook, but they all mean the same thing. So what is software? Software is a set of programs that are used to perform certain tasks. Examples of softwares: we have Photoshop, that is used to edit photos and images. We also have 3D Blender, that is used to create 3D animations and other things. We also have Visual Studio Code, that is used for writing code, etc. A browser is a software that is used to render HTML documents so as to come up with a working website. Okay. So images showing the previously talked about software. So here I'm trying to give you a feel of how these softwares look like. Photoshop CS6 software looks like that. That's its interface. Then Blender 3.4.1 software looks like that. Then Visual Studio Code software looks like that. Actually, I prefer using Visual Studio for writing code for web development. So we shall be using GCPP Edit software to create C programs. and it looks like this as shown below. So this is the interface of how the software that we are going to be using to create C programs looks like. Programming actually means writing lines of code one at a time while obeying the rules of writing code in that particular programming language. For our case, we are programming in C programming language or just simply C language. Programming is just like writing sentences in the English language. You have to obey the grammar, which are the rules that you have to be following in while writing sentences in English, or else your sentences will not have meaning and be considered as incorrect English. In programming, if you do not follow the rules while writing the code, your code will be executed, but an error message will be displayed on the screen informing you about the incorrectly written code. For complete execution of any programs and achieve the programmer's intention, the code has to be written correctly. So, requirements of programming. What are the requirements for programming? In order for one to start programming, you must have these two requirements: a computer and an IDE, which is Integrated Development Environment. This is a software. For computer, we can have examples like laptops, desktop computers, smartphones, of which I do not recommend using a smartphone for coding. Then for the IDE, we can have examples like GCPP Edit, Dev, C++, CodeBlocks, etc. All those are softwares or IDEs that we use for programming. Programming languages. What is a programming language? A programming language is a computer language that is used to create programs. Below are examples of programming languages. We have C programming language, or simply C language. We also have Java language, Python language. These programming languages are used to achieve certain objectives, as you will see later. But for us, we shall be concentrating more on the C language. But after acquiring knowledge in C language, you'll be able to program in other programming languages. So for us, we shall be using C language to create our programs. These programs will be used to solve various tasks that can be encountered in real life. For example, a program to add two numbers. That's a very simple task that one can achieve, writing a program that is used to add two numbers. So where is programming applied in the real world? Programming is applied in the following fields below. Web technology. Here, we find out that there are various computer languages that are used together in order to come up with a working website and also maybe a working web application. Then two, embedded systems design and development. In this field, we shall find out that there are programs that are created in order to control the hardware. For example, TV remote controls, smart homes, and also for example, if you want the lights to switch on automatically when darkness comes, you can create a certain program that you later upload onto the hardware that will be able to tell that darkness has come, switch on the lights. Then number three, have game development field. Here, programming is used in order to come up with computer games that some of us like playing on the PCs. For example, FIFA game. Then there is another game called Call of Duty. These are very exciting games to play. Then number four, desktop applications development. So programming is also applied in developing applications that run on your desktop. For example, we have those uh, Windows operating systems. They are developed using programming languages. We also have some other applications, softwares that you use like Word software. We also have Microsoft Access. We also have like Adobe Premiere Pro. All these applications are developed using programming languages. Then number five, we have mobile applications development, where applications that you can use on your phone are created. For example, WhatsApp, Facebook, all these applications are created using programming languages. So, structure of a C program. Below is the representation of a basic structure of a C program. It is made up of two parts, that is to say, the head section and the body section. As you can see there, we have the head section and then the body section. So for the actual look, this is how the actual basic structure of a C program looks like. It is made up of these statements that I'm going to explain later. So these first two statements fall under head section, then these other ones fall under the body section. The codes that you write inside the body section will be displayed on the screen, or they will be executed. But whatever you write in the head section will not be executed. You will get that clearly as we continue. So for the head section, it contains preprocessor statements. Those preprocessor statements are those two lines that you are seeing in green color. Those lines of code are called preprocessor statements. They are used to include header files into the program. The header files here, in the first two statements there, we have stdio, which stands for standard input output .h. The extension .h stands for header file. Then below that line we have another header file called conio, which is conio, in full console input output .h. So for the body section contains programs which are going to be executed by the compiler. A compiler is a software that translates code written in high-level language into code that is written in machine language. So you will understand that as we continue. The first C program. In order to actually start writing code, install an IDE on your computer that you will use to create the program. I'm going to be using GCPP Edit as my software for creating programs. You can download GCPP Edit for free from the internet. Download GCPP Edit or any other IDE of your own choice, and we start coding together. I am extremely excited to start coding with you. So let's get our hands dirty with code. I will open up my IDE software that I'm going to be using to create the C programs. So after the IDE has opened up, I'll go on top of the window and select file, and then click on new file, and then under the new file window I'll be presented with various types of files, and I'll create a C file. I'll give it a name, hello world, and I'll specify where I want to store that file. I want to store it in the tasks file, so I'll navigate where the task folder is. So after that, I'll then create the file. The file will be created for me with some statements already there, so my time will be saved. I won't have to type in these statements like in the former IDEs. So I'll go inside the int main function, and my objective is to display the word hello world on the screen. In order for me to achieve that, I'll have to use a function called printf. Printf. And so the semicolon is referred to as terminating the statement. So whenever you write a statement, you have to terminate it. You have to end that statement with a semicolon. So inside the brackets here, I'll include double quotes, and inside the double quotes, I'll write the word hello world. So that's the word I want to be displayed on the screen. So when I run this program by clicking on the play button on top, the word hello world will be displayed on the screen, and some execution time will be shown. So when I press on the enter key on the keyboard, the screen will disappear. So what if I want to pause the screen so that I only see the results that I've got? Now include the gauge function, terminate, and then now when I run this program, only the word hello world will be displayed on the screen. But when I press on the enter key, the execution time will also be displayed. And when I press the enter key for the second time, the screen will disappear. So this is a program that is used to display the word hello world on the screen. And this is now our first C program. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that at this point you have completed writing your first C program, but there are high chances that you do not know exactly what those lines of code mean. So here I'm just continuing to give you additional explanations on what those lines of code mean. So let's us break down the meaning of the hello world program once again in details. Inside the head section are these two preprocessor statements. Hash include opening tag stdio.h closing tag, and then the next line we have hash include opening tag conio.h closing tag. Hash include is a keyword which requests the compiler to include the specified header file. For example, stdio.h. The .h extension implies that the file is a header file. A header file is a file containing function definitions which can be used to accomplish certain tasks. For example, printing or displaying content on the screen. stdio.h and conio.h are header files as previously explained. stdio.h contains the commonly used functions, namely 1. printf function, 2. scanf function. That's how functions are written. And whenever you see a function written in that format, that simply means a function call, or it means that that function that was previously created should be executed. That's what that format of a function means. So printf function is a function used to display text on the console window screen, and then scanf function is a function which is used to capture what the user has entered on the keyboard, as we shall see in the next examples. conio.h contains some functions which can be used in the C program. An example of such functions is a gauge function that is used to pause the screen. A function is a group of statements which are executed together at once in order to achieve a certain objective. Functions will be explained in detail in the coming lessons. Below is a snippet of code showing us how the main function is written. On line 4, we start by specifying the data type, which is int, and then we define the function name, which is main, followed by parentheses. And on the next line, line 5, we open the curly bracket, and on line 8, we close off that curly bracket. Then inside those curly brackets, we write down these two statements, which are as follows: printf, open and close the parentheses, and inside those parentheses, we have double quotes, and inside those double quotes, we write the word hello world, and at the end of the whole of that statement, we terminate it with a semicolon. So on the next line, which is 7, we write the statement return 0, semicolon. I'm going to explain all this in detail on the next slide. So we're saying the main function is a function which contains the statements that will be executed and printed on the screen where necessary. Int main parentheses curly brackets. The word int tells the compiler that the main function expects an integer value to be returned after execution. Thus, the statement returns 0 at the end of the body of the function. The characters opening brace and closing brace suffixing the word main are called braces. That is to say, that character that represents the opening brace and then that character that represents the closing brace. The body of the function is marked by the curly brackets, which are written like that. That is to say, that character is the opening curly bracket, and that character is the closing curly bracket. The statements inside the curly brackets make up the body of the function. Printf, open and close off the parentheses, and inside the parentheses we have double quotes, and inside the quotes we have the word hello world, and then at the end of that statement we have a semicolon. As a beginner, you will always have issues with terminating your statement with a semicolon. It's a common error for programmers that are beginning to write programs. Then we have return 0, semicolon. The above statements are found inside the body of the main function. The statement printf, open and close off the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we have double quotes, and inside the double quotes, we have the word hello world, semicolon. So that statement displays the word hello world onto the screen as I previously talked about it. The semicolon, which is that, is used to terminate or end the print statement. The value enclosed inside the double quotes, that is to say the hello world, is referred to as a string. If you remember, we defined what a string is. It's more of a collection or a group of characters enclosed in quotation marks or in quotes. And a string can also be called text.